Alright, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my Friday Night Smackdown review. A lot of things to talk about this show tonight. Obviously, some match changes and matches just being thrown out the freaking woodwork right now for WrestleMania, as we are about 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. There's a lot to say from the fallout from Fastlane last Sunday. Of course, they had the video package to what happened in the main event, but we do kick off the show with Daniel Bryan coming out with a steel chair in his hands as he wants, everybody to know some truth right now. He's seen the reality that no one has ever seen before. He made Roman Reigns tap out. Roman Reigns said he would die before he tapped out, and he's never had in his entire career. But Bryan went on to say that Roman Reigns is alive, and he tapped out to me. In a perfect world, that means I would be the Universal Champion and be the main event of WrestleMania. But Edge came in and hit me in the back with a steel chair. And, Edge, didn't want to go about this the right way. And Bryan says he's had enough. I'm tired of standing on the sidelines. I'm tired of everybody getting opportunities that I don't get. I'm tired of all these dream matches that people didn't earn. I earned my shot at Fastlane. I earned my right to the main event of WrestleMania, and I got nothing out of it. So he's going to earn it again. And his demands are simple. Give him a rematch for the Universal title, and he wants it tonight. And he said he's not going to leave the ring until he gets what he wants. Very good promo. Almost, I would say similar to how they occupied Raw back then. They would have had like 50 people in the ring, but he's basically almost the same thing. Will you give me my match at WrestleMania, or else I'm not leaving the ring? Almost similar what they kind of did back in 2013-14 at the time. But moving on, after the commercial, Bryan was still in the ring, and he did not leave, and basically sat there silently until Adam Pearce came out saying, "I can't give you a rematch. You did make Roman tap out, and the referee's decision is final, and the next defense will be a WrestleMania against Edge." But Bryan says, how about this? I face Edge or Roman Reigns on night 2 of WrestleMania, and whoever wins night 1, I get them right after then. Because Bryan said it's a double standard here, because it was fair for me. I had to face Roman at the Elimination Chamber. What, they're gonna be too tired the next night to do it? But next thing you know, Edge came out, he slapped the microphone out of Adam Pearce's hands. Edge basically said, like, you don't get it, all right? You want to talk about this is your last WrestleMania and whatnot, and, this is your dream and everything, but you're trying to take my dream away, okay? Listen, I won the Royal Rumble. I came in number 1. I eliminated you out of the Royal Rumble. And night 2 is the 10-year anniversary, is when Edge had to retire from wrestling until, he came back all these years later now. And listen, you lost, okay? Move on. I won, and basically called him a son of a bitch. The next thing you know, both guys started brawling with each other until Edge hit him with a spear. And then he got a chair and was about to. We hit Bryan across the back with it before he left out. So Edge being more pissed off, given that you're ruining his moment for WrestleMania. I want my big moment. Well, like, why do you get to have it? I did all this, which he is correct upon. No, he did win the Royal Rumble. He did earn his shot to main event WrestleMania. So why are you trying to come in and take my spot away now, huh? So he kind of has a point right there. But moving on, we had Seth Rollins versus Nakamura again. Why do we need to see this again for? I know they have Roman and Jay in the back, basically saying we got to, tell Adam Pearce something. So I guess they didn't like what was going on. Rollins versus Nakamura, not a bad match, but I already saw it on Sunday, okay? And Nakamura lost again with the curb stomp. Rollins about to beat up Nakamura again until Cesaro came out. He just started beating up Rollins then. He tried to get him into another swing, but Rollins got out of there after that and basically made the challenge then for WrestleMania. He's tired of that failure Cesaro, and I give him a challenge at WrestleMania. Next thing you know, Cesaro comes in, swings him around a few times, and says challenge accepted. So we knew that was going to come into WrestleMania and whatnot. Um, Next thing you know, Roman was talking to Adam Pearce about the whole main event of WrestleMania, saying you need to make this right. And Pearce said he has a decision at the end of the night, though. Street Profits and Big E went against the Alpha Academy and Apollo Crews. Obviously, we knew this was coming to WrestleMania. It will be Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. So, of course, they would save it, which was a very good decision, to be honest. Of course, Apollo Crews has the spear with him. I was about to say the steel again. 6-man was whatever. It was okay. Basically, it ended up with Crews pinning the Intercontinental Champion, though. So, like I said, we already know that match is coming at WrestleMania and whatnot, so get ready for that. But moving on from that, though, what else was on this show after the tag match? Edge was in the back then, talking to Roman Reigns, basically kind of making a deal with him, right? Listen, he's trying to take away our moment, all right? Listen, he did this back in 2014. So you don't want it to be a triple threat match because none of us can get pinned and we can still lose the title right here. So I think you need to use some of that stroke and do something about it. Kevin Owens is in the ring for the Kevin Owens show, talking about Sami Zayn. Somebody doesn't believe the conspiracy theory, so why did you attack me last week? Try to kick his head off. Sami came out, said, I'm sorry for what I did. I had no business doing that or kicking you that hard. But, it was starting to get to my psyche and everything. And Sami said, listen, how about this? I'll let you be part of my documentary. I got Logan Paul. They've really been name dropping Logan Paul a lot. Apparently, I guess they're going to bring him here. Or is it a bait and switch? Mostly a bait and switch, I may see. But he talked about, he's going to be part of the documentary. It's the opening red carpet next week. And Owen says, I don't care about the documentary or Logan Paul. I'm only talking about last week. I don't even care if you're sorry, all right? And Zayn says, so I owed you an apology. You're crazy and whatnot. And Owen started yelling at him, says, how about this? I'm not going to beat you to a pulp, but here I challenge you to a match at WrestleMania. Do you accept? Yes or no? Yes or no? Make a choice. Sami said yes, and Owen says, now that I have the answer, I can beat the hell out of you senseless now. So, next Owen started beating up Sami Zayn. Sami tried to get away, but he ended up getting a stunner in. So, yeah, even though, of course, this is very rushed, but we got those matches on the card at WrestleMania. Listen, we've seen so many Owens and Zayn matches. I'm sure they'll have a really good match at Mania anyway. So it's Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. We've seen it in the past. Hell, I've seen it live. So hell, we can go all the way back to Ring of Honor if we have to. But kind of rushed in a way. But some would say we're not allowed to build. But come on, it's Owens and Zayn. So they get a match at Mania just because. Bianca Belair was in the back talking about what happened last Sunday and say she could have slapped Sasha Banks back, but she wanted to be the bigger person, and I'm going to get it at WrestleMania. And, she wants to be the boss, the standard, but, Bianca says she's a little bit better, and, she's going to make history at WrestleMania. And Bianca went on and said, I got unfinished business with Natalya, so you got kids in the room, you may want to take them out because you ain't going to like what I'm about to do. Bianca went against Natalya then. Sasha ended up joining commentary, of course. Match was good, I will say that. Bianca, of course, getting the win after she slapped Sasha to the ground. Sasha came in and gave her a backstabber after that and holding her title up. So, if you want to hear more about my thoughts about the whole main event of WrestleMania Night 1 and whatnot, I put a video out yesterday, just about 8 minutes, kind of giving my quick thoughts of who I think should main event WrestleMania Night 1, since that's been a debate right now between the whole Sasha, Bianca, and Drew and Bobby Lashley. Like I said, my quick initial thoughts, I still think Lashley and Drew should be main eventing the show. But if you want to hear the rest of my thoughts on that, I did put out a video yesterday about it. It's not long, but I've been getting some comments about it. Some agree, some don't agree, but even I'll sit there and tell you, like, the world champion should be main eventing the show. But some would say it's kind of how big the match is, and that should main event the show. But everybody has a different opinion. I still think the WWE title still will main event WrestleMania. I know it hasn't been official yet, but I think that's most likely going to happen, okay? But you can hear more of my thoughts on it in the video. What else? Rey Mysterio went against Dolph Ziggler. Good match. It was whatever. Rey got the win. I still think it's most likely going to be a tag title match at Mania between Rude Ziggler and Rey and Dominic. That's the only thing I see coming from this. So, there you go. I know they announced Kane and Great Khali in Hall of Fame, of course. I think I talked about that on NXT the other night in my review. And like I said, Kane, very deserving. No problem. Great Khali, yeah, we run out of people to put in this damn Hall of Fame, okay? But Kane definitely deserves it, though. But in the last part of the show, Edge and Roman came out, and Daniel Bryan. Adam Pearce made his decision. And listen, it's not going to be 2 title matches in one night or on both nights. And, it makes sense. Daniel Bryan should get another shot after what happened in Fastlane. So, basically, it will be a triple threat match. Like I've been saying for the past 2-3 weeks now on video, it's going to be a triple threat match between Roman, Edge, and Bryan. Bryan attacked Edge then. They brawled. Roman hit Edge with a No, he hit Daniel with a Superman punch. Roman got a chair, but Edge hit him with a spear. He was gonna do the concerto, but Jey Uso got a chair. Edge speared him. Edge had a chair then, and he started hitting everybody with the chair. Then he started hitting the referees and agents and whatnot. He was gonna concerto Bryan, but they got Bryan out of there, and Edge ended up just sitting in the ring with the chair. So Edge mostly being more heel than just being a face right now. So someone's saying the real rated R superstar is coming back. I know a lot of people don't want to see Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania. Then again, they just didn't want to see him part of this match in general. Like I see a lot of people just are really not liking Bryan involved in this, but he's just there to take the pin. That's all he's really there for this triple threat match. I don't think he's going to win the Universal title at Mania. I think he's going to be the one to take the pinfall. They don't want Roman taking the loss, of course, and you don't want Edge taking the loss either. So I just believe that Roman is just going to be the one, not Roman, but Bryan is in the match to take the L, okay? Some saying this is almost being recreated back from a few years ago in 2014. What? Batista wins the Rumble. He comes back after a long hiatus from the company, and, Roman's the champ. It's almost similar to 2014. Some would even go already to just the WrestleMania 20 with the Benoit, Shawn Michaels, and, Triple H thing at the time too, Royal Rumble winner. Only difference is, Edge won and he's not the odd man out in all this. So this is almost very similar in the same scenario from 2004 to 2014 all the way to now. Okay, that's what it looks like. But I still see Bryan taking the pinfall either way at WrestleMania. I don't think he's going to win at Mania, but that's why he's here for, okay? I don't understand why everyone is just gone at his head. They just do not want him part of it. Even I was like, well, he's going to take the L most likely, so I kind of understand why he's in the match, okay? So we knew it was coming, though. I know people didn't want to see it, but I've been knowing this for like 3 weeks now, so that's what it's going to be. But that's my review of SmackDown tonight. Before I go, I do want to talk about one other thing before I go. And I could make a separate video about this, but I know it'll take a lot of research. And I know WWE won't really talk about it, but I'm sure everybody else online has talked about it today. 20 years ago to this date, March 26, 2001, was the last ever episode of WCW Nitro. Okay? And, I will say this, going back on that day, I remember it very well because I was flipping channels at the time. Now, this is where I started first watching wrestling, was in the Attitude Era, during the Monday Night Wars, okay? I used to flip the channels back in. Don't get me wrong, I was mostly more watching WWF at the time, but I remember that day very well, just on specific reasons from, like I said, flipping the channels back and forth when they had the Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon thing going on, from Booker T winning the world title and the U.S. title, to Sting versus Ric Flair, even the McMahon segments, and of course Tony Schiavone talking about Regal, like, yeah, we do some crazy things, Steve Regal, like, put your ass over. And now, Tony Schiavone's back on TNT over almost 20 years later now at this point, okay? I will say, though, you look back on it, it's one of those days that changed the business forever. I know a couple days before that was when Vince bought WCW and everything, but there's a lot of reasons to why WCW died, from how bad it was in 2000 maybe, or how at least they tried to push young talent but it didn't work, and a lot of people they could say could be blamed for it, from Vince Russo, well, that's a main factor, if I could say, Bischoff, Time Warner, and AOL, or the guy that wasn't, I forgot the guy's name, Jamie something, and, it wasn't Ted Turner. Ted Turner tried to save WCW, but it didn't work, and WCW, let's be honest, WCW booking and money and just how it looked at the time, and I wasn't really smart to the business like that, to what I am now, but, you can just go back to those many, many problems WCW had. There's a reason why it died. Some say if Bischoff had bought the company, though, how long would it survive more and whatnot? Just like think about those reasons, how it would have looked and everything. But, from those days in wrestling, and that's when everybody used to watch wrestling. It was more mainstream, especially in that era. Ratings were really at that high of a time, over 3s and 4s. And nowadays, it's just like 1 point something's mostly that's with WWE, but AEW is like what, not even at 1 million at times, just 750 something thousand. And don't get me wrong, nowadays there's a lot of options to watch different wrestling shows and whatnot. But is it under a mainstream audience anymore? Is everybody paying attention to wrestling like that? Even WWE to extent. Don't get me wrong, they sell stadiums out. WWE makes a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, everybody does not like the product nowadays anyway, and it looks like shit. But mostly. But WWE has found ways to hustle just to get money and whatnot at this point. Not a bad job though, but you just look back at that last Nitro, and I'm just going off my initial thoughts. And some would say it was bittersweet that time. And Vince was just able to get the tape library, and I don't think he ever wanted the wrestlers. And we all know what happened after the whole Shane McMahon thing. Some people thought WCW was gonna be okay or something like that, but then we got that horrible invasion storyline, and they never got all the top WCW stars during that invasion storyline because I think they were getting paid by Time Warner AOL just to sit at home because their contracts of WCW were more bigger than the WWF ones they were offering. And the only people really had that was kind of a top out of in that invasion was Booker T and maybe DD. Well, they ruined DDP after that, but it's only like a couple guys that came okay out of that invasion. I'm going like WCW, not the ECW side, and some of those guys turned out well, mostly Rob Van Dam, but Booker and some would say Ray, but Ray came after the invasion storyline, okay, and stuff. But you just look back at it. Some would say, what if the invasion storyline at the NWO or Goldberg or Steiner or Sting, and some of those guys end up coming after the invasion, but then again, some of those guys were fed to Triple H, and Sting was like, they had to finally get Sting many years later on, like, hey, we killed the last remnant of WCW, they say I couldn't do it, but I finally killed them off, I'm sure Vince would say. But yeah, man, you just look back at that day. Some say that's when wrestling died. Some say, people I know say they stopped watching wrestling after that because WWE didn't have competition at this point, and they became the top dog in town. Which is crazy. After 1 year after WCW died, that's when TNA and Ring of Honor were created. And you look at those companies right now. TNA could have been the ones kind of gone head to head to WWE, but then they kind of somewhat became WCW 2.0. They're still around, but it's not like what it used to be. Ring of Honor, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder how they never got to a bigger spot. Some would say. And, now you got AEW and stuff. So it's like I said, there's more options in wrestling, but is it ever going to be as popular as it was back then? Not really when you think about it. Like I said, just look at the crowds then, the crowds now, the product then, the product now. Just go back and look at old WCW and WWF stuff, mostly in the 90s. Like I said, Attitude Era, Monday Night War stuff. Just look at that. Just look how great it was at the time. And it's crazy how it was to what it is right now. And some say fans just quit watch wrestling. That's why some would say wrestling is just a niche audience nowadays. Like, they lost a lot of viewership after that. Learning a lot of this years later on, though. But it was one thing I said, if it's one thing I really do remember of the last episode of Nitro was just flipping the channels between Nitro and Monday Night Raw that same night. And then the Nitro guys were at WrestleMania 17. And they showed them, and like I said, we already know how the invasion thing went and stuff, okay? So it's crazy just looking at it 20 years ago and whatnot. Like I said, I would do a video of this, but I probably have to do a little bit more research. So I'm just kind of going off my initial thoughts on this, okay? So I just want to take a little time to talk about it. It's an important day in history. It really is when it comes to wrestling. So yeah, 20 years ago since the last episode of WCW Nitro. Tells you something, man. Panama. It was a crazy night that night, and Tony Schiavone was checked out, and he was really done with wrestling after that till now. So, yeah, that's all I really got to say about that, okay? So, I'm out of here. Comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Hooded9890. Tell me what you think about SmackDown tonight, and what are your thoughts about the last episode of WCW Nitro from 20 years ago? Just whatever thoughts you have, tell me what you think about it. I'm out. See you guys later. Peace.